Okay, first question. All right, first question. Oh, Rachel takes higher mother tongue. Wow. It's very difficult, you know. I don't think I can cope with higher mother tongue myself. Okay, good. Right, so this question here. Now, you have this particular nuts that is eaten by squirrel. Okay, so in the winter, right, squirrels will have already stored a large number of the nuts. Okay, but since the bottom part of the nut tastes bitter, they often only eat the nuts halfway. Right, so they eat only halfway. As the winter turns to spring, these half-eaten nuts, okay, can still germinate and grow into young plants. Isn't this a nice thing? So you see, part of the nuts can serve its purpose to feed the squirrel. Another half is actually used for growing into a new plant. Yun Xuan also taking higher mother tongue, higher Chinese. That is difficult. Okay. Now, can you think of possible reasons why the half-eaten nuts can still germinate and grow into young plants? Okay, is it because they get light to germinate? Things that you need to think of, number one is factors for germination. For germination, you need the wow factors. What are the wow factors? Okay, yeah, Laika?
Warmth, oxygen, and water.
Very good. So these are the factors, right? So do you think light is one of the conditions to help it germinate? No. So A, we will strike it out, right? So cross out A. There is food stored for the young plant. Yes or no? Do you think there is food stored for the young plant? There is, because you see, the half-eaten nuts, because the bottom half of the nut tastes bitter. Squirrels do not eat this bitter part. But the bitter part contains food as well, isn't it? Because it's part of the nuts. Nuts actually is a great source of food. Yeah. Yeah, Remus. Correct. You type in correctly. Good. So there is food store for the young plant. That's true. Okay. Now, you have to remember, right, when the seed germinates, the roots will grow out first. Remember? Okay, there is still no leaves. There's still no leaves to actually go on. Teja is here. Give me 1 minute. Let me check for her. I want to have to mark her attendance. Okay. All right. Back here again. What did I say? Roots grow out first, isn't it? So the roots grow out first, but the leaves have not even grown out yet. So what do you think will be the food source for the seeds? Do you still remember that particular term? It's part of the seeds, you know, that provide the food source. Hi, Teja.
Hi.
Yeah, what is that, Evan? Do you still remember? What is that name? We call it the seed leaves. Because there is no green leaves to actually make food, right? So the young plant will actually take the food from the seed leaves. Okay, so the food store is actually from the seed leaf. If you don't know, now you know. Just 1 minute. This is a bit too loud. Too many messages coming in. Let me just mute. Okay, now back here again. So see now, the baby plant is found at the bottom of each nut. Okay, at the bottom of each nut. See, the bottom part is not eaten because it is bitter. So already we said that the bottom part is bitter, it is not eaten, and this bottom part can still grow into young plants. So very clearly, there must be a baby plant inside. There is a name for this baby plant. Okay, if I go on to my next slide, just to show you first, it's called the embryo. Okay, if you have opened up peanuts or any other forms of nuts, do you see some parts that look like this? Have you all seen it before? Yeah? If you have not, go and open up some peanuts. Okay, split open the seed leaves and then you can see what is inside. You can see this embryo. This embryo is the baby plant they are talking about. This baby plant is at rest. It is within the seed. Once there is water given to the seed, then there is enough oxygen as well as suitable temperature. Yeah, actually the seed will start to germinate. Once germinate, this baby embryo or this baby plant, the embryo will start to grow out. That is where you start to see the tiny little leaves that grow out, right? Yeah, you can see it's actually from here. Brian says, I like to eat the embryo. I like it too. Do you know that whenever I peel open the peanuts, right, I will eat this part first. I will eat this part first, you know, the one that I'm shading now, because it is the hardest and the most crunchy. Right now, Brian? I think you feel the same way as me. I usually will do that. Then after that, I will eat other parts of the seed. Okay, Gordon, I don't waste the other parts of the nuts, you know. I will still eat. Yeah, Brian is like me. It has a special taste, right, Brian? It's different from the rest of the parts of that peanut. Yeah, Brian knows. So you go and try and then you come back and tell me and Brian what it tastes like. Okay. There is warmth for germination when winter turns to spring. This is one of the factors required for germination. That's why answer is actually C. Okay, inclusive of statements B, C, and D. Any question here? It tastes a little bit salty because I think because your peanuts is the salted type. If you eat the roasted without salt, it's not salty at all. Okay, then, yeah, the salty one is nice as well. I also like those that are sugar coated. Then nowadays they have chili coated. They have all kinds of flavor. Okay, so back to our question here. I think question 2 should not be too difficult for you. If you look at this, question 2, they already gave you the key. The key tells you what are the substances that are flowing. So you have water and you have food. So this flow chart shows transportation of water and food in a plant. So look at the direction of flow of water. Remember, water only gets absorbed into the roots, right? And the water is transported from the roots to all other parts of the plant. Right or not? What is the direction that water goes? From the bottom up to the top, right? So from the roots, the water enters, is going to get transported to the stem, then to the leaves or the flowers or whichever parts there is. Now, let me ask you one other thing. How do you think water gets transported? Is it just anywhere in the stem, anywhere in the... Yeah, no, right? Rachel says no. So what do you think? Is there a specific path for the water to move? Yes, there is. Very good. Now I see the 2 terms came out. Rachel says water carrying tubes. Yunshen say water carrying tubes. Then Dan actually said xylem. They are all correct. So water is actually transported in the water carrying tubes. Now, if you were to ask me, water carrying tubes, do I need to put in the hyphen? Yes or no? Is it necessary to have the hyphen there? What if you don't have the hyphen? What will happen, Tamai? If you don't put the hyphen over here, your teacher will still mark you, correct? No, your teacher will minus half mark. Is that right? Yeah. So can y'all take note? I know some schools are okay. They actually don't penalize students when they don't put down the hyphen. Okay, because this is not like testing you English, right? Yeah. But some schools mark very strictly. If you ask Miss Tay, in PSLE, do they allow? Yes, they allow, but don't get into this habit. Hamayi, they are not that strict. We don't mark for language. So your past tense, present tense, if you get it wrong, nobody will minus marks, you know. So in this case, but I still encourage you to follow the best way. Remember, I told you before as well, some years PSLE, the marking is different. Okay, so certain year, this particular answer is accepted. Some other years is not accepted. Okay, sometimes this year is full marks. Another year, they only give half mark. So the marking is really dependent on that particular year also. Okay, so Tamai is not wrong to say that cannot write this way. Okay, yeah. So do include the hyphen. Now, another term which you must know when you are in secondary school will be xylem. So water gets transported in the water carrying tubes, or we call them the xylem. Okay, how about food? Food, of course, will be transported in the food carrying tubes. What is another name for the food carrying tubes? For those who know. Yep, okay, yes, it is spelled this way. It's called the phloem. Okay, PH you pronounce it as F, phloem. Okay, but you don't spell this way, yeah. You can only look at it like this because PH is usually spelled like it is an F, a F word. Oh, I shouldn't say that. It sounds bad. Okay, it's a, oh dear. Okay, so it's a word that starts with the letter F, even though it's spelled PH. Why I'm saying this? Because if you go higher level, you might come across this word. Okay, then my student very naughty, you know, because in the past, this is the past, we spell it this way. Then there was a certain year when Miss Tay was teaching them the chemistry, Ministry of Education sent a circular saying that, oh, all the books will be changed to the F instead, not PH anymore. So my students will always say, do we spell the F word? Do we spell the F word? You know how naughty they are in secondary school? I say, yeah, correct. It's the sulfur with the F. Then they say, oh, it's the F word. Just very naughty. So just now when I said, you know, spelled with like a word that starts with F, suddenly I thought about this. They are very naughty, but I love my secondary school kids a lot. Okay, they are the most naughty, but they are the most fun also. Not to say that you all won't be fun, but when you grow older, you'll be very cheeky and your teacher will definitely have a lot of fun with you. Okay, joking all these things, joking about all these things. Okay, but be careful. Don't make any mistakes. All right. Okay, come back to this. So when you look at the water flowing from Q, I don't like this. And we always jump to the next slide. So if you look at the water flowing from Q to the stem to P and then to R, all right, we can be very sure that this must be the root, right? Okay. Then you can also be able to tell, okay, R will be the leaf. Why is that so? Someone tell me why I can say that R is actually the leaves. You can unmute yourself if you wish to. Yes, Dan, you're right. Then you went to Google sulfur. Yeah, sulfur. Sulfur is a kind of yellow powder when snakes accidentally come into contact with the powder, the skin of the snake will rot. So snakes are very afraid of sulfur powder. Okay. Yeah, I see you're typing in the answer already. The leaves make food for the plant because you see that the food is being transported from the leaves to the stem and then it goes to the roots. Okay, and then the food also travels from the stem to P. P must be some other parts of the plant. In this case, it is very clear it has to be the flower. But I will put down other parts of plant because it can be other stuff. It can be the fruits also. Agree or not?